students and young lawyers and the legal community in general. So my appreciation to the e-Justice India platform, and it has to grow well, having good network among the legal community. Thank you. And I am thankful. Thank you, Mr. Sumanta, for a wonderful introduction about me. And good afternoon to one and all the participants from the lawyer community and law students and various other legal sectors. So I welcome you all. The topic which has been given to me is the digital arbitration, a drive-through. So digital arbitration, so it has various names called online arbitration, e-arbitration, net arbitration, net court. So there are so many names. There is no particular name coined for this purpose worldwide. So whoever having a online platform, they are giving their unique name for this kind of system. But ultimately, all the platform is rendering the justice to online in an efficient, cost-effective, and a cumbersome manner. So what is a digital arbitration, or what is online arbitration? So online arbitration is nothing but doing the conventional arbitration in a digital platform with the aid of technology laws and technology. So before before discussing with the online arbitration, let's have a basic idea of the arbitration and the conventional arbitration as to how it works. Many of you are lawyers and you might be knowing all those things, but anyway, for the purpose of completion, I would like to give some introduction about the idea. So arbitration is nothing but it's a dispute being resolved by the parties, for the parties, and of the parties. The parties themselves appoint their own arbitrator. The parties themselves draw the procedural aspects as to how the arbitration has to be conducted, and the parties themselves, which laws is to be applicable in the arbitration. And it seems to be it's a very democratic procedure for resolving disputes. The arbitration and other modes of alternative dispute resolution, such as mediation, conciliation, negotiation, local dollars, these are all nothing but supplemental to the present and existing justice delivery system, that is litigation through resolution through court proceedings. All right. So now, how the arbitration works? So arbitration as a legal sanctity, the arbitration proceedings are bound by the enactment called Arbitration and Conciliation Act 1996. This was enacted on the basis of the model law framed by the UNCITRAL model laws. All right, almost 152 countries who have adopted the model arbitration law, and they are enforcing the provisions of arbitration and arbitration act throughout the world. Because since all the arbitration acts throughout the country was adopted based on a model law, almost in every country there's almost all the arbitration acts in all the countries same kind of provisions of law, same kind of procedures. All right, so this enables the parties to have a uniformity in the arbitration procedures, because if it is a litigation, so if it is a civil litigation, we adopt civil procedure code. Some countries have a different kind of civil procedure code, or some common civil code and everything. So it will be difficult to follow the business community throughout the world, because the world has become a global village, and every country has foreign investments. Therefore, there must be therefore the United Nations thought it of to have a uniform arbitration procedure law. That's how the UNCITRAL rule UNCITRAL has framed the model arbitration rules, and India has enacted such law in the year 1996, and it is about after about 25 years. I feel the parties and the legal community are adopting the Arbitration Act in a very widely manner, and it has become very popular. Now the ADR practice is become very popular, such as arbitration and mediation. Now, Let us go through the conventional arbitration. As I said, it is bound by the provisions of Arbitration and Conciliation Act 1986. The backbone of the arbitration process is the arbitration agreement. There must be an arbitration agreement with the parties to refer the dispute to arbitration and resolve the same through the arbitration. The arbitration agreement can be in the form of an arbitration clause or in the form of a separate agreement. The existing agreement can have a clause. There may be multiple clauses, and out of which there may be an arbitration clause under which the parties may be agree to resolve the dispute through arbitration by appointing a specified name arbitrator or referring a particular dispute to an arbitration institution, and which language has to govern the arbitration proceedings, which law has to govern the arbitration proceedings, which substantive law will have to be applicable, and how and within the time limit, how the arbitration has to be concluded, what would be the arbitration fee, every other aspect that the parties can agree in the arbitration. The procedures agreed between the parties is the governing law of the entire arbitration proceedings. That the agreement governs not only the parties but also the arbitration tribunal, including the courts, including, I would say, it's a Supreme Court. Whatever the procedures agreed between the parties is becoming the governing law of that particular dispute. It will be applicable for the particular dispute alone. It will not go beyond those things. All right. So now we are seeing the arbitration agreement. So the dispute is the agreement would be in a physical format. Once a dispute is arisen, the agreed party will have to invoke the arbitration clause and send a communication to the other party. So we're saying that there is an agreed transaction between you and me, and there is a dispute. You have committed certain breach, and because of the breach, certain damage, the loss has occurred, or you want to owe some amount to me. Those things will have to be mentioned, and in which he has to say that since you are not adhered to the payment and everything, you have to. He is contemplating to refer the dispute to arbitration. So this is the paramount first and paramount consideration in the commencement of arbitration. So as soon as the notice of reference to arbitration is issued to the other party, the arbitration start to commence. All right. So these notice of reference to arbitration will be sent to the parties physically by registered post or some courier or even an email. After invention of email, so even we are partly acknowledging and accepting the mode of communication through technology. So once the notice of reference to arbitration is sent, it will reach the other party. Other party will have to send a reply whether the dispute is genuine or not, whether he's agreeing for arbitration or not, whether there is an arbitration clause or not. Everything he has to communicate by reply mail. After that, the arbitrator will be appointed as per the agreement, either by the parties or by the institution. Once the arbitrator is appointed, the arbitrator. So these are all by physical form communications. Then once arbitrator is appointed, the arbitrator will be sending accepting the appointment, and he will declare that he has no conflict of interest in those dispute, and he will send his acceptance by registered post, which is again in a physical format. After that, the arbitrator will fix a date of preliminary hearing. So the parties will be in different places. If it is domestic arbitration, one party may be in Guwahati, one party may be in Chennai. The arbitrator may be in Chennai. The arbitrator will be sending a communication to parties. The party in Guwahati has to come to Chennai. If the place of arbitration is agreed as Chennai, it is bound, and the parties are bound by it. The parties even from Guwahati or somewhere else have to come to Chennai. And the arbitrator on the day of first hearing, the arbitrator will fix certain procedures for as to how the arbitration should be conducted. Thereafter, the procedure will be framed within such time the claim has to be filed, within such time the defense statement has to be filed, within such time the rejoinder, sub-rejoinder will have to be filed. and the issues should be framed. And when the proof of it, that is, examination of a witnesses in chief will have to be filed. Thereafter, cross examination. Thereafter, hearing of arguments. Thereafter, award. So everything is in physical format. The parties from Guwahati has to come to Chennai. He may have to engage an advocate. He has to take care of the council and his personal conveyance, and he has to make some alternative arrangements for his accommodation in Chennai. So these involves money, time, and precious time of both the council and the parties, including the arbitrator or the other parties. So now these processes involve the other expenses such as post expenses and time. If your post is sent to the other part from arbitrator from Chennai to Guwahati, it will take at least 5 days or 1 week to see that it is served. Therefore, these are all the practical issues involved in a conventional type of arbitration. All right. The point is, it is not that the existing arbitrations or arbitrators or the parties in the arbitration have not adopted the technical advancement in the arbitration proceedings. In fact, as on today, even for more than a decade, so as an arbitrator or parties have been adopting technologies into this arbitration, at least for communication purposes. Even the pleadings, that is statement of claim, statement of defense, and documents will be exchanged between the parties by email, and the arbitrator will be sending communication to the parties by email. So everything, everything is taken place even as on today. And in fact, in certain arbitration proceedings, the video conference is taken place in order to examine the expert witnesses who are all far away from the place of physical arbitration. They may be in foreign countries. Even witnesses will be cross-examined through video conferencing and everything. And in fact, I had an experience recently. I was an arbitrator, co-arbitrator in an international commercial arbitration, which was held in Poland at Warsaw. So one arbitrator from Sweden, another arbitrator from Poland, and the parties are from different countries. The parties used to exchange the pleadings and documents through email, apart from sending the physical copies by mail. And among the arbitrators, we used to communicate. We used to communicate and discuss the procedures as to how the arbitration should be conducted. We used to exchange those kind of things through email, and even during arbitration, from the day one to till the end of the arbitration, everything was recorded. The recorded proceedings were transcribed into printing. So technologies, no doubt it is being used. Even you might have seen that in certain arbitrations, the witness statements will be displayed. The witnesses will be cross-examined. Those question answers will be typed in a laptop or something. So those things will be displayed through overhead projected in a screen. So if any mistakes, it can be corrected. The printouts can be taken. So these are all the technologies being used as on today in the arbitration. It is not that as if that no technology is involved in those arbitration proceedings, but the technology used in today's arbitration is a little bit. I will not say that it has been used in its fullest extent. I would say it's 10 to 20% are being used in arbitration. Now this due to this pandemic after COVID 2019, you would see that the entire world is standstill. And the judicial, the courts are unable to function. The Supreme Court is introducing e-filing system, and in so far as some urgent nature of cases, the Supreme Court is conducting video conferences. Not only Supreme Court, and various high courts have been conducting video conferencing, but this facility is not available to all the cases. So the cases are in queues. The many ordinary public are waiting in the queue for several years without the cases being taken up. So those benefits, the video conferencing benefits should also go to the root of the country. Everyone, because they are also citizens, they are also taxpayers. So everyone should be benefited by the technology. Therefore, Therefore, the answer for everything, for all these lacuna is the online dispute resolution. The online dispute resolution thing is from the day one to till the end, that is from the date of reference to arbitration to till the end of the arbitration, everything has to be conducted through online without depending upon any physical communication or physical meeting, everything. So I have personal experiences conducting online arbitrations. So I have been conducting online arbitrations for an American arbitration center, and also in India for the National Internet Exchange of India. I would first I would refer the National Internet Exchange of India. These are relating to domain name disputes. That you must be knowing that familiar trademark name will be hijacked by the infringing parties, and they might have misused the aggrieved party or the registered trademark owner. They should have raised a dispute before the concerned authority. As far as Indian official domain name, that is a .in, is concerned, National Internet Exchange of India is the authority to resolve those disputes, because it has its own procedure. It called Uniform Dispute Resolution Procedure, and such disputes should be resolved by adopting procedures as contemplated under the Arbitration and Conciliation Act 1996. As far as the .in domain name is concerned, it is. I would say it's in partial manner. The dispute is being resolved through online. I will explain how the procedure is being adopted in those proceedings. As soon as aggrieved party is raises a dispute before the NICSI registry, they will have to file a claim statement and supporting documents before the registry. The registry will those things will be submitted even through email as well as by mailing it to the NICSI. The registry will have to scrutinize whether the complainant has complied with all the formalities, such as the complaint is in a proper form, documents are submitted, and the arbitration fee as well as administrative fee has been paid or not. If everything is checked and everything is fine, perfect, the NICSI registry used to send a communication to the arbitrator. Example, they may be sending a communication to me as an arbitrator. So the communications are through email. I will go through them. If there is no conflict of interest, I will give my consent for such appointment. Along with my consent, I will send a statement of disclosure and confidentiality. So even I will not be sending those for the disclosure by physical format. I used to take printouts, sign it, and scan it and send it to the NICSI registry. Upon receiving confirmation, the NICSI registry will be sending a communication to the opposite party who has infringed the trademark, informing that so and so has raised a dispute in which the arbitrator so and so has been appointed as arbitrator. They will give just information to the respondent by marking a copy of the mail to the arbitrator as well as the claimant. Upon receiving, upon that confirmation, then they will be communicating the claim statement and supporting documents to the arbitrator, both in digitally and by physical forms, by courier or some other mode of service. As soon as as soon as I receive those communications, as an arbitrator, I have to send a communication to the respondents, granting 10 days time to the other party to say their objections. If the objections, everything is by email. If there is any objections, then further time will be given to the claimant to file the rejoinder. And if there is no request for the parties for hearing through video conferencing, I will go through the pleadings and documents, and I will pass my award. If any one of the parties require in-person hearing, personal hearing through video conferencing, so that will be provided. Ultimately, everything. Ultimately, no one need to meet together. I need not go to anywhere. I can sit in my office and I'm opening my laptop. I can and go through everything. So also the complaint can sit. The complaint can be from any part of the world, because many of the world reputed trademarks are being infringed in this kind of disputes, because the complainants, many complainants will be various part of the world, and once this process is over, I'll go through the pleadings and documents, and I will render my award. The award will be scanned and sent to the NICSI registry. NICSI in turn will upload the award in their official website. Anyone can go through that. Therefore, in this entire process, no one is meeting in person. No one is traveling anywhere. No expenses, no traveling expenses, no accommodation expenses, no time losses involved. So everyone is sitting there, their office or their place, and they can do their other work simultaneously, and simultaneously they can attend this arbitration proceedings on. For all these entire proceedings, the arbitrator has to complete the arbitration within a period of 60 days. The maximum day provided under the rules is 60 days. In 60 days, the arbitrator has to compulsorily dispose the arbitration proceedings. If there is any circumstances beyond the control of the arbitrator or something, they may give maximum 15 days of extension time. Otherwise, there will be no extension. The arbitration has to be completed within 60 days. This is as far as India is concerned. And I will say the arbitration proceedings being held through NICSI is partly adopting the digital process. If as I said, I have been doing arbitration for one American institution. It is the entire arbitration proceedings is completely through online. There, the process is completely different. Their website is so user friendly. So we can have anyone can easily adopt the modalities of the online arbitration without any hindrances. The process, I will say the process just for an understanding purpose, how the online arbitration, this I have been doing for more than 6 years. Let's understand how the arbitration is being done. And these kind of procedures have to become in India. So as far as the American institution is concerned, it is also similar kind of domain name disputes. The complainant will raise a dispute to the arbitration center. They will now formally file the claim statement and supporting documents, and they will pay the necessary fee of the arbitration and institution in advance. So then only the case will be taken up. Once the case is taken up, the institution will be sending a notice to the respondent. Here, I mean, is concerned, it is for the arbitrator to send a notice and to take up the arbitration proceedings. But as far as that American center is concerned, the center will take care of entire pleading stage completely within their hands. The duty of the arbitrator is to take care of the aspect of merits. They need not dwell on the procedural aspects. So once the arbitrator, once a notice into the respondent will have to file their reply, and reply is filed. Time will be given to the claimant for any rejoinder. If every pleading is completed, then only the appointment of arbitrator situation comes. Thereafter, the institution will appoint an arbitrator. So while the arbitrator will be intimated through an email saying that you have been appointed as an arbitrator in a dispute between so and so. If there is any conflict, unless you send any reply refusing to accept this appointment within 1 day, it is deemed that you have no conflict of interest and you have accepted such appointment. They see to that the arbitrator dwells his time and effort only on merits of the case, not on this procedural aspect. So therefore, once the arbitrator is appointed, So arbitrator will be provided with a password to access their website by clicking the particular page. The particular page, it's called a case management sheet. The case management sheet will contain will contain so many details. I will share those details by the slide. 1 second, please bear with me.
Yeah, so before Sir presents, I would just like to make an announcement. So guys, after this presentation, we will be opening the Q&A session. So the process is, if you have any question, you can leave the question in the chat box, and we will select the questions from there. Then once you select the questions, we will choose the speaker and we will unmute you. So you can ask the question. Or if you choose not to make yourself seen, then you can let us know and we will pick the questions directly and I will ask sir on your behalf. So if that is clear, we will proceed with the presentation. But please, during the presentation, don't unmute yourself and start asking questions. If you have any question, just write it in the chat box. Thank you. Back to you,
Yes,
sir.
I resume. So, as I said, online case management sheet is a very, very important aspect in online dispute resolution. It is we call as a docket sheet in our physical arbitration or court litigation. So, this online case management sheet will provide the entire details of the case. So, like the case number will be there, claimant's name will be there, respondent's name will be there, case date of filing of case and and due date for passing award will be there, nature of relief will be there, name of the arbitrator will be there, claimant's counsel name will be there, respondent's counsel name will be there, and their contact details. These are all basic things. You can see those things just in opening a single page alone. We need not go to search and go to any other files or something. And the points in 10 to 18 are very, very important. And these points contain, these are all in folders. The point number 10 to 12, there will be separate folders for each and every points. The folder in the claim statement and documents, you can find the arbitrator, the claimant and the respondent can click, open, and see the claim statement file with the respondent and supporting document file with the claimant. So likewise, by clicking the folder statement of defense and documents, one can see the statement of defense filed by the respondent and the document filed by them. So also the rejoinder for claimant and sub-rejoinder by the respondent. Then 14, that folder, tribunal proceedings. So in such a folder, we can see whatever the proceedings recorded by the tribunal will be saved as in the PDF format. And the point number 15 is interim order. So whatever the interim order is passed by the arbitral tribunal will be placed in the folder. Then point number 16 is chat room and video conferencing. If any one of the parties wanted to discuss with regard to the points in the arbitration, they can come to a chat, they can place their questions, and the other party can answer. So this is a meeting point. And in case of any one of the parties require a personal hearing through video conferencing, they can make a request, and all the arbitrators and the parties can meet in the video conferencing as we do now. After all these things, the point number 17 is the folder for award. That folder will contain two things. One, the award in templates or award upload of award. You know the meaning of template. The institution itself will use to create a template of the awards, which contains all the basic informations like name of the parties, nature of dispute, nature of the case, and everything. The duty of the arbitrator is just to frame the issue, analyze the issue, and answer the issue. That's it. We need not waste our time, because we all know that because there are many practicing lawyers in this participation group. So even in typing, we used to type cost ID. It's a very, very important aspect in our Indian judiciary system. So though we will not type everything will be available in the template itself. with all accuracies. So the other important, in case if the arbitrator doesn't want to use the template, it is for it's at the discretion of the arbitrator. There is no compulsion to either use the template or the upload format. If the arbitrator doesn't want, no, or if this particular case does not suit the template formats, then he can choose to write the award on his own. And once award is done, it can be scanned and uploaded in that particular column. So once the award is uploaded, the arbitrator has to click the approve button. Once it is approved, the award will be simultaneously delivered to the claimant, respondent, institution, and including the case law journal, the arbitration case law journal of the that center. Then thereafter, the other folder for miscellaneous to record the miscellaneous proceedings. Therefore, if you open a particular online case management sheet, you can come to know the entire case history, not only the history, the documents relied upon by the parties. Everything will be available. So this is called a complete online dispute resolution system. Now, this kind of system is being encouraged throughout the world. And now, so now I'm coming back to the present position. Now you all know that you all know that what is the difference between the conventional arbitration and online arbitration. Uh, um, Now, as I said, after this COVID-19, so the dispute resolution process has become standstill. Nothing is moving forward. Urgent cases alone being heard in video conferencing by the courts. All right. So now, after this COVID, everyone is the leading arbitration centers and or moderate arbitration centers, or even the companies which has a large number of cases, are trying to resolve the disputes through online. The COVID has dramatically accelerated the digitalization of arbitration process, and the COVID has created a necessity among the legal community to invent a particular system of online dispute resolution. You all know that the object of the arbitration is to provide quick and effective remedies to a legal dispute in a cost-effective manner with less cumbersome procedures. As I said earlier, the conventional arbitration is bound by the Arbitration and Conciliation Act 1996, as well as online arbitration is also bound by the proceedings of the provisions of Arbitration and Conciliation Act 1996. But what the difference is, the online arbitration is blended with conventional arbitration and technology in it. So now let's know what is the related technology laws and what is the technology involved in it. So you all know will be knowing that Information Technology Act 2000. But the Information Technology Act recognizes certain digital formats. Section 4 authenticates legal recognition of digital records, and Section 5 gives a legal recognition to the digital signature. And Section 65 capital B of the Evidence Act gives sanctity of those digital records and digital signature as evidence, and that can be admissible in the evidence. Now, the three important procedural aspects in arbitration, this is available both in the conventional arbitration as well as in the online dispute resolution. As I said, the arbitration agreement is the backbone of the arbitration dispute. Next is arbitration proceedings as to how the proceedings have to be conducted. And the final one is arbitration award. So whether the arbitration award rendered through digitally is enforceable or not is the question, and we wanted to know answer for those. Now coming to the arbitration agreement, arbitration can be in any form. It can be in a physical format or can be in a digital format. These two Supreme Court judgments, that is Shakti Borg Foods versus Kola Shipping Limited, AR 2009 Supreme Court 12, and Trimax International FZT Limited versus Vedanta Aluminum Limited 2010 3 SCZ, wherein the Supreme Court, the Honorable Supreme Court of India has held that the parties who have exchanged emails agreeing for resolving their dispute through arbitration is valid and enforceable in law. Therefore, even a communication through email agreeing for arbitration is valid and enforceable, and an arbitration can be done through those proceedings also. And now you must be knowing these smart contracts. Now the banking sectors are very much using these smart contracts for granting an instant loans. I think that you might be knowing that but there's a concept of instant loan, granting it 1 hour or 2 hours times. So the parties have to log into the web the particular app of their bank, and they have to provide what are all the details available required by them. And once the documents are uploaded, the bank will verify the credentials of those documents, and everything is fine. They will disperse the loan. At the time of extending the loan, we need to digitally agree for the smart contract. The smart contract may contain the resolution of dispute through arbitration. So this is how also there can be an arbitration agreements. Next, there are two different aspects in arbitration. One is ad hoc arbitration, and another is institutional arbitration. Both are available in both the conventional arbitration and institutional arbitration. So while agreeing for while drafting an arbitration agreement, whether it is ad hoc or institutional, the parties have to be very careful in coining the arbitration agreement. If the arbitration agreement is promptly drafted, then there won't be any issues at all. Otherwise, even for constituting the arbitration tribunal itself will be a problem. Then it will go for then that will be go for sorry, that disputes will be taken up to the high courts, and there will be an appeal again in the division bench, and there will be an appeal in the Supreme Court. Even for appointment of arbitrator itself, it will take some 2 to 3 years. Instead of concentrating on the merits of the dispute, and every procedural aspect has to be agreed in the arbitration clause, or the institutions have to take care of all these things. Otherwise, everywhere there will be disruption. Like if there is no language agreed, which shall be the language, there will be a dispute. If there is no particular procedure is not agreed, then there will be a dispute. And if there is no agreement for governing the contract, then there will be dispute which state law is applicable. Therefore, while drafting the arbitration clause, the parties have to be very meticulous in drafting the arbitration clause. It is because the arbitration clause itself is becoming a law, governing law of the parties, governing law of the arbitration tribunal, and even the governing law of the courts. Well, the courts will have to look into all these things, whether the arbitration has been done as per the agreed procedure. Otherwise, there will be multiplicity of legal proceedings. Ultimately, the purpose will not be served. Therefore, one must be very careful while drafting the arbitration agreement, since it is backbone of the arbitration. Next, the important aspect in use of technology in online arbitration. Here, a question may arise whether in the existing contract, the parties have agreed to resolve the dispute through arbitration, but that the proceedings to conduct through online may not be agreed under the said agreement. In such case, the question may arise whether the arbitration can be conducted through online. My answer is definitely it cannot be done, because conducting online arbitration through online is a procedural aspect. That procedure have to be agreed by the parties. Otherwise, no one can insist to conduct the arbitration through online. But a party may invite the other party to conduct the arbitration through online if the other party does not respond, if the other party refuses, or the other party keeps silent. So we cannot assume that he has agreed for the resolution of dispute through arbitration. Therefore, the use of technology, that is resolving the dispute through online arbitration, how to be necessarily and mandatorily agreed by the parties. And here, what would I say is there are private platforms are available in foreign countries, not in India. But in India, the arbitration institutions are emerging with the ODR technology. So ODR technology, the arbitral institutions consist of the legal experts and technical experts. Even nowadays, the technical experts are also on the board. So the legal experts will give their legal input, and experts, the technology experts will be giving their technology experts in order to conduct the arbitration in legally and professionally manner. And the online platform should be very user friendly, and it should be accustomed, and it should be used by even by laymen. That should be the motto of the ODR platform. Then next, the proceedings in online arbitration. So you all know that in online arbitration, no parties need to meet physically. Every meeting is through virtually, and more particularly, this is a very important aspect in the arbitration process. Arbitration proceedings are meant to be confidential in nature. Even if it is a conventional arbitration or it's online arbitration, the arbitration proceedings are totally private and confidential. In arbitration proceedings, no third party will be allowed, and no data in the arbitration shall be allowed to leak. So therefore, the data in the arbitration proceedings should be maintained very confidentially. Therefore, the online platforms which provide services shall assure the protected network. Otherwise, there are every reason or every occasion to leak the data. Because leak in the sense there are lot of hacking, data theft is being taken place. Therefore, the institutions will have to be very careful while framing the rules and placing their platform in the protected network. As far as the privacy of data is concerned, there is a law called GDPR, Gender Data Protection Regulations in Europe. Now India is following that rules and enacted what is it? There's a law. A bill has been passed by both the houses, Rajya Sabha, Lok Sabha, Rajya Sabha, and it is pending assent before the President of India. Unfortunately, it is pending for more than 2 years. But the government of India has to take imminent efforts to notify the Data Protection Act, because day to day or minute by minute, the private data are being hacked or theft in the online platforms, such as even the WhatsApp, the Facebook, or the Google platform, the email, everything is vulnerable for hacking or data theft. You must be knowing that. I feel this is very important to. This point is very important to be discussed at this juncture, because what we use as on today in the internet is just 10%. The 90% of the internet is being used for illegal purposes. There is a area called dark net, or it's a cyber bazaar. In cyber bazaar, anyone can buy arms, anyone can buy drugs, anyone, and there are a lot of the other like triple X websites. So everyone is using the smartphones and the social network like Facebook. We used to upload our photos and details, every details in the Facebook. So where we are going, where we are coming, while we are going outside, taking photo and uploading it in the Facebook or other social networks, including the young girls. All right. So in Facebook, it's a network of friendship. It will grow and grow. So one person may know 100%, have 100 friends or 200 friends. There cannot be. We have acquaintance with some hundreds of friends or thousands of friends. So the network is getting a friend through another friend. a friend, another friend. Therefore, the network is growing like that. So, in the guise of the friendship network, a person who has have an intention to hack the details of the social network, they may offer their friendship, and in order to show our something, we have such number of friends, we may accept them, and that person may be maybe a hacking person. So we may wonder what is the use of hacking those photographs and everything. Unfortunately, the photographs which are hacked in the social network, or particularly the young girls, are being used and sold in this criminal bazaar for the purpose of the pornography website. You believe it or not, every photograph in the hacked in the social network is being sold for the minimum of $2 to maximum of $7, each and every photograph. And those photographs will be photographed, and that will be sold. So that photograph will be sold minimum $40 to $80. That photograph photos will be uploaded in the photograph websites. Ultimately, we must realize where we are. So this is the situation even for a photo. And many corporates and many persons having their very confident information exchanging in the email, believing those things as genuine. Don't believe that every app and every social network is vulnerable for hacking. In fact, the WhatsApp server itself has hacked. The WhatsApp in India, say there are cases again. There are some cases in India. Communication is shared in a WhatsApp from one person to another person. That communication may be defaming photograph, or defaming, or some libel like that. So one party files a cases against other, and the WhatsApp is being called as a witness. They wanted to know the origin of that information. The WhatsApp simply says in court, says that no, we are only intermediary. We have no control once the WhatsApp message delivered. So that is what they stand in throughout all the courts in India. So there are many cases are filed in India. All the cases are now pulled up. This is what they stand in the Supreme Court India, saying that we are only intermediary. We have no control over the server once the information is delivered. But unfortunately, they say that their server is highly secure. But the WhatsApp server itself has been hacked by the Israel company for their war intelligence. And the WhatsApp company itself is a litigant in California court. The case is pending. They are claiming damages against the Israeli company. And in fact, in those hacking, there are many the data of very important persons throughout the world were hacked, including the informations of the Congress President Priyanka Gandhi. So these are all the issues involved. So even the WhatsApp is one of the biggest platform in online nowadays. Even the WhatsApp platform itself has been hacked now. So they themselves is before the court claiming damages in multi-billion dollars in America. You all know that the WhatsApp app has been purchased by Facebook for $20 billion. Even the WhatsApp company was developed in the year 2014. The total employees of the WhatsApp is only 52 employees. It was in America. So that company was purchased by the Facebook for $20 billion. You believe it or not, the leading software companies in India, such as Infosys or TCS, the worth of those companies itself has not crossed $10 billion so far. Believe that. The $20 billion is not for the company. That $20 billion are the data which is possessed by the WhatsApp. So that is the reason the WhatsApp has been purchased by the Facebook. If you see that, if you communicate certain things through WhatsApp, so that will be immediately if you are interested in buying some television and are sending a communication to your the company or your friend, immediately you can find out that in the Facebook there will be an advertisement relating to television. So that's how the data is being used by these big corporates. Everyone who are all using this smartphone and the social network are vulnerable to data theft. Therefore, therefore, while we are using the data, that kind of that sort of the data in the arbitration, that has to be protected. So the institutions, arbitration institutions, have to be very careful in adopting the data protection and the network. The data is very much important in these aspects. Next, the agreement or institution rules should spell out the procedures. So this is again an agreement as to how the arbitration, online arbitration, shall be proceeded. Next, the exchange of pleadings. This I have stated initially itself. So nowadays the parties have used to send their claim statement, defense statement through email. But once as I said, the American platform for conducting online dispute resolution, there is no question of exchanging the statement of claim and defense documents through email. What you have to do is you have to submit before the institution. Institution will in turn upload into their case management sheet. That's it. There is no need to communicate, exchange of communication, even the party and the arbitrator themselves. So everything will be stored in the case management sheet. And as I said, so as far as India is concerned, the exchange of these pleadings and documents are recognized under Section 4. Digital signatures are recognized under Section 5, and Section 65B of Evidence Act recognize these electronic evidence as electronic documents as evidence in the court or tribunal and the judicial proceedings. Next, now we are conducting the arbitration through online. While conducting, there may be some technical flaws. Likewise, when I started this presentation, I had some audio problems. Now that has been rectified, I'm smoothly conducting my presentation now. So in the arbitration agreement, there must be the due care has been taken in case some failure has been happened. What has to be what has to be done? The parties have to be instructed in such a way. They must have sufficient space in their email account, because you may know that due to shortage of space in the email account, the email sent to them will be bounced. They may disown the saying that no, I didn't receive any emails like that. So there must be clear caution has to be taken while drafting the arbitration clause. The next one is it has to be taken care of in the agreement or the institution rules, so that either an alternate is made and the information or data fed in the system can be retrieved. Next, now realizing all those things and importance of the dispute resolution through the online, the International Chamber of Commerce has framed rules on standard of online arbitration. The concept of these rules is as to how a file should be managed, as to how the file should be sent to the sent to the parties, or sent to the institution, or uploaded in the case management sheet. We will see one by one. The rules for giving file names with a unique name identifier for each electronic document. The electronic document shall contain a unique name. If it is from a claimant, the claimant name must be there. If it is from the respondent name must be there. In case of the communication from the arbitrator's name must be there. Next, the file naming system shall be used throughout the arbitration for all electronic documents. This has to be not only in the first document. The same system has to be followed throughout the entire proceeding till the award is passed. Next, the document being uploaded or shared must contain the date of original document and next of document on the top or the bottom of the page. And in case there may be some technical flaws or technical fault due to some CPU failure or hard disk failure, whatever it may be. In such case, if a party loses the data, or including the arbitration tribunal, or including the arbitration center. So the technical difficulties may occur everywhere. In such case, the other party have to provide such details to all the concerned, and the mode of transmission and storage of emails have to be stated, whether any confirmation of receipt of email has to be given. So these are all the things have to be agreed in the agreement itself. In case I send an email to other party, the other party cannot simply keep quiet. He has to acknowledge the receipt of email, including the good receipt of the attachment thereto. And the next one is the format of file, whether it should be in PDF format, document format, HTML format, or ASC IA format. These things have to be mentioned. And finally, the rules for audio and video conferencing. How one should appear? How should appear in the video conferencing? I think recently some Madhya Pradesh High Court has condemned a lawyer who has appeared in a video conferencing without wearing a shirt. Okay, this seems to be very awkward to see those things. Therefore, there must be some certain procedures and rules how a person should appear while should appear in the video conferencing. It has to be everything to be studied to maintain certain standards in the online arbitration. Otherwise, one of the parties may be in his workout room, and he may participate, and a party may be in a kitchen, he may participate. So those things should not happen. It should be, the process should be honored and in a very formal manner. Next, apart from these institutional rules or the for conducting online arbitration, the arbitral tribunal itself, in consultation with the parties, can give certain direction as to how the proceedings have to be taken place. The arbitrator has to fix a day and hour and applicable time zone. That is more important, because in case one party is from America and one party is from India, the time is different. So if it is morning 10 a.m., that will be night, or it will be night for them. They will not choose all the time. Therefore, considering the time zone of the parties, the arbitrator has to fix a convenient time of both the parties. And during the arbitration, it has to be mentioned who shall appear and how many numbers of persons should appear in the video conferencing. So since one of the parties in office, other parties in their office, arbitrating somewhere, so they should not bring 20 officers or 50 officers to sit and watch all those proceedings. So there must be a limited number of persons so that the proceedings will be smooth. And the next one is special requirements such as visualization of documents, likewise the sharing of documents while we are conducting the arbitration proceedings through online, and any other requirements which are necessary. The arbitrator can fix those things in their proceedings for the smooth conduct of online arbitration. Now, the final part of the online arbitration is arbitration award. Whether it is valid, whether the award rendered through online is can be enforced. This is a very important aspect. Unless there is no enforceability, there is no purpose of doing arbitration through online. But as I said initially, the conventional arbitration and the online arbitration, there is no big difference. The only difference is the proceedings are conducted through online, that's it. Otherwise, we follow the provisions of the Arbitration in Unconciliation Act 1996. And Section 31 contemplates as to how the arbitration award shall be written, how shall be signed, and how shall be it shall be communicated. So the arbitration award, even in online, it will be in writing, and instead of the physical signature, the arbitrator can subscribe his digital signature, as we have seen Section 5 of the Information Technology Act recognize the digital signature as a proper signature. Therefore, digital signature is enough. Once the award is done, the PDF format of the award can be communicated through email to the parties concerned. And finally, the award which has been passed has to be enforced, so that the fruits of the award can be ripened by the succeeded party. So at that time, because once the enforcement comes in, so we have no other go. We have to depend upon the state courts. We have to file the enforcement petition before the state courts. The state courts will have to follow the provisions under these procedures under the code of suit procedure. Those things require the award copies in physical format in certificate by way of certificate copy or in original. So at the time, at the request of parties, the original award or certificate copy of the award can be submitted to the parties for the purpose of enforcement. Now, after this pandemic COVID-19, the many leading arbitration institutions throughout the world, such as International Chamber of Commerce, American Arbitration Association, ICSID, Korean Arbitration Center, London Court of International Arbitration, Hong Kong International Center, Stockholm Chamber of Commerce, Singapore International Arbitration Center, Vienna Arbitration Center, and the International Federation of Commercial Arbitration Centers have joined together and issued a statement approving the communication, the exchange of communication through email and conducting virtual hearings. So after this, many institutions digitalized their case management processes and conducting online arbitration. Now, what are the now in what are the platform the online hearings can be conducted? So now we have been conducting through the WebEx platform video conferencing. Likewise, there are FaceTime, Skype, Video Cloud, Microsoft Teams, Zoom, Google Talk, Blue Jeans, everything is available. But these are all public platform. But because the many leading arbitration centers don't believe these public platforms because the privacy and data security is involved. Therefore, they create on their own in collaboration with the Singapore Center has in collaboration with Maxwell Chambers, Virtual IDR Service, and ICSID with the collaboration of collaboration with another platform, and JAMS Ideas Institution have in collaboration with such an institution have created their own platforms, keeping in mind the data protection and privacy of the parties. Therefore, the data protection and using the protected network is very much important while we are opting the online dispute resolution. Now, the arbitration fraud, as I said initially, the arbitration platform should be very user friendly, both in legal aspects and technology aspects. Then only it will have its smooth run. And also the online arbitration requires the conformity of cybersecurity, protecting the privacy and data of the parties and arbitral tribunal. This have to be taken into due care in case they, as we have seen in the beginning of the COVID-19. So everyone have started to use a Zoom platform, but there was a news spreaded throughout. All the places saying that it is not safe platform, and many have changed their platform to some other one. But I understand now the Zoom has covered up all these things. Now it is protected. But anyway, while we are going to the public platform, they are likelihood of hacking and data theft. Therefore, we must be careful in availing or adopting the very safest platform for conducting the online dispute resolution. Now, what should be done or what should not be done during the conduct of the online arbitration? So, the first one is, please ensure that you have a workable laptop, tablet, or desktop computer with a large screen and secure Wi-Fi or wired internet access. Please ensure that your laptop, tablet, or desktop computer has a workable microphone and camera so that you may be properly heard and seen. Please familiarize yourself with the technology in advance of the online dispute resolution process to ensure that you are comfortable using it, troubleshooting it. Please keep confidential all details concerning the online meeting link and any password that may be provided. Please ensure that only individuals who have signed the online dispute resolution agreement are present during the online or dispute resolution process. Please ensure that you are physically present in a well-fit and quiet room with the limited disruptions. Please ensure that if necessary to keep out background noise, your microphone is disabled, muted while you are not speaking. Please ensure that your request the arbitrator, when you need a take break, sometimes the online arbitration may go for hours together. At time, as a human being, we need some break. So that has to be done. And please ensure that you and or your counsel has already access to a printer, scanner, email, and telephone. What shall not be done? Please don't share the online meeting link or password with anyone not authorized to be participating in the online dispute resolution process. And don't access the online meeting or online arbitration by way of a public network. We should not use while we are in airport or railway stations or in malls somewhere else. So while using these, wherever we are expecting that our data is to be protected, we shall be working in our private network. The online case management I have detailedly discussed at the beginning itself. This is a wonderful system to be adopted in the online dispute resolution. Next, this is fast track arbitration. This is a model arbitration class. There are two things. One is fast track arbitration. This is in conjunction with the technology laws. So this is a model class. I think I need not take all these things through this. The next one is this is the model ODR class, online dispute resolution class. It's the simplest one. We'll go through that. Any dispute, difference, controversy, or claim whatsoever arising out of, under, or in connection with this contract, including any issue regarding its existence, validity, termination of arbitrability, or the relationship between the parties, shall be submitted to arbitration, subject to the ODR rules of a sole arbitrator in accordance with and subject to the ODR rules of the Seneca platform at www.cnica.org. The juridical seat of arbitration shall be Chennai. The language of arbitration shall be English. Here, the arbitration class is very simple. It is not exhaustive. You may think it is not exhaustive, but what are all the things we have discussed in prior slides have been taken care of by the Seneca ODR rules. Once the parties agree to resolve the dispute through Seneca ODR rules, the ODR rules will come into play. So the ODR rules of Seneca will take care of the interests of the parties. Now, finally, so after hearing this almost a 1 hour speech, you might have realized that arbitration is convenient, fast, economic, and efficient. No doubt, everything. I would say 100% is convenient because even today we are meeting from various places. We are all in India, but we are meeting in a single platform from various places in a large number of people. So therefore, it is fast and economic. The economic ways, it is superb platform. As I said, if the arbitrators is conducted in Singapore, arbitrators are different countries, parties are different places, we can curtail travel cost, accommodation cost, everything we can curtail, and time, most efficient time we can save. Next, as far as this online arbitration is concerned, there is no standard rules or laws framed by any by any government of any of the countries. As like as I said initially, our Arbitration Conciliation Act is following the unsettled model rules. Likewise, the unsettled is framing the online dispute resolution rules, and it is getting finalized for about. They have been working for about 11 years in framing that. I think it may come to be published in another maximum of 1 year's time. And once it is published, it will be followed up by all the countries in the world. Therefore, if the model arbitration rules for online comes in, so definitely it will be a guiding factor for all the countries. And now the COVID has created a necessity for all of us to adopt the online arbitration system. Therefore, their necessity definitely would lead us to a good platform to conduct an online arbitration at ease as a drive-through. I think my presentation over. Thank you so much for your patient hearing. Thank you, one and all. If any questions, you may ask.
Thank you very much for the informative session, sir.
Welcome.
Yeah, sir. If we think about the scenario we are in, it is very exciting to think about. It's like we
Okay.
have a cyclone in the northeast.
Yes,
Uh,
yes.
this company is started by Rishabh and Ravi from Dehradun. You are in Chennai, I am in Assam. So
Yes.
yeah, we are truly connected.
Yes.
Very efficient that way. Sir, we have a couple of questions.
Yes.
So first is from Priyam Krishna. Priyam Ramakrishna.
Yes.
So,
Yeah.
Priyam, I'll just unmute you, then you can ask your question. Priyam Ramakrishna, I have unmuted you. You can ask your question.
Sumanta, there is a question in chat box. Shall I answer it first?
Yes, sir. It's the same question, sir. Yeah.
Yeah, the question is with regard to arbitration, what happens if the information leaks? Does an agreement become null and void? Here, it's a very valuable question. Everyone should know the status of this thing. First of all, mere leakage of the information will not render the arbitration proceedings as null and void. All right. If the in case if the information is leaked under the data protection bill, there are certain laws have been brought in. In case the data is theft or lost, and the aggrieved party may make a complaint, there are two remedies. One is civil and another is criminal. So criminally they can proceed, and simultaneously they can proceed in civil claiming compensation. So even in compensation itself is minimum is 5 crores. In case if a data is shared in a particular platform, like example WhatsApp, we are sharing some data through WhatsApp. So some information is leaked. We find out this has been done by intermediary. Intermediary is a cause, because intermediary is a cause for all these things. All right, then that is the reason the enactment of data protection bill in India. There are two aspects. If under the data protection bill, if a service provider has a customer from India having their domicile India, having their identity proof in India, the server, that company should have server in India. Today, a company may have their server in America. They can operate in throughout the world or in India. If something happens, the Indian government does not have any control. They have to depend upon the American law enforcement agency for making complaint and bringing them into the books of law. Now, that is the reason, having find all these difficulties, the data protection bill is giving an answer. The particular company has to have a server in India. Something happens, they can freeze the server. And in case a particular company has 50 lakhs members, subscribers to their app or something, that company shall constitute its company in India, shall have its physical office in India, and more particularly, there must be a nodal officer who has to work 24 hours. If the government of India or the law enforcing agency requires some certain particulars, that company has to provide within the time limit. Otherwise, the company will be fined minimum of 5 crores if it is a first time violation. If it is a second time violation, it is based upon their annual turnover. It is 4%. So the laws are now, the data protection laws is very, very stringent. So the answer for the question is, for the data violation, you can take separate action, but merely because data leakage, the arbitration proceedings cannot be null and void. But in case the data is leaked, the arbitration proceedings may be reopened, or the award or something may be reviewed by the higher forum, or it can be remanded back to the arbitration forum. Thank you.
Yes, sir. Next question is from Priya Ramakrishna.
Yeah.
So, Priya Ramakrishna, I have unmuted you. And sorry,
Yeah, hello.
sorry I
Yeah, so
pronounced your
is it
name
audible?
wrong earlier.
Is it audible?
Yeah, it is audible.
Yeah, good evening, madam.
Hello. Priya Ramakrishnan. So yeah, I have unmuted you. You can ask your question.
Sir, is it audible?
Yeah, it is audible, loud and clear.
Yeah, yes, it is audible. Yeah.
Sir, I think there is a technical error in her end. Can you hear us, Priya
Sir, is
Ramakrishnan?
it audible? Yeah, I
Yeah,
can
yeah,
hear you. Can
yeah. You are audible, loud
yeah,
and clear. Yeah.
yeah. So
Yes, madam. You can
yes,
proceed.
my question is that in case of data theft while the proceedings, whether the proceedings will start again from the initial stage, sir.
Yeah, repeat the question, madam. Your voice is not clear. Repeat it.
So in case of data theft while arbitration proceedings, whether again the
Okay.
proceedings will start from the initial stage.
No, that is depends upon the data which has been theft, whether it is substantially affects the arbitration proceedings or substantially affect the case set up by the one of the parties. That depend upon the situation.
Okay, sir. Thank you, sir. It was
Okay.
really interesting hearing you. Yeah.
Yeah, thank you so much, madam.
Thank you, sir. Thank you.
Sir, I don't
Suma,
think there is any more question. Guys, if you have any question, you can ask. Guys, if is there any question, you can ask now. You can just leave in the chat box, then I'll unmute you. Okay, okay, sir. I don't think we have any more questions today. So,
yes.
sir, one last message to all the students and all the participants, all the lawyers.
Oh, me. Good. Okay. It's a good thing and rightly triggering this point. In fact, I wanted to say this. Uh, the the international arbitration, commercial arbitration, no doubt it's a very good, no doubt it's a very good arena to practice. But in future, because due to the expensive process of international commercial arbitration, the alternative dispute resolution, such as arbitration, mediation, are taking in a very effective manner. So now in India, the Mediation Act is being enacted. Now it is circulated to the general public, calling for their opinion, and it's, even say the mediation agreement entered into between the parties is going to be recognized throughout the world, and the mediation agreement, which becomes automatically a decree after a particular point of time. Therefore, the party who feel that the arbitration is very expensive, they may definitely turn towards the online dispute resolution and the mediation. The online dispute resolution and mediation is going to be the future. Even the mediation is also going to take place in the online platform. Therefore, please read the law. Please update yourself with the laws with latest technology. You want to update yourself. There are lot of opportunities for the lawyers. So my earnest request to the young lawyers is to please dedicate your time to the profession. Read the recent case laws, not only Indian case laws but also foreign case laws, because the world has become one, and there are foreign investments in India, and India is investing somewhere. Therefore the world has become one, and the persons who have the interest definitely will be having opportunity to reach many parts of the world. It's a very noble profession. I request everyone to work hard and concentrate. Don't deviate. If you take a particular area of practice, as far as I'm concerned, every area of practice is good. But thing is that we have to concentrate, we have to go along with that. Sometimes the result may be quick or sometimes it may take some time. But as far as law profession is concerned, gaining knowledge is the investment. So as far as how much knowledge you gain, you may be able to answer the clients, you may be able to tackle the clients, and don't go behind the money. Work. The work will give a way to all the possible things in the world. And I take this opportunity to wish you all the young lawyers and the law students to perform their career and personal life in a best manner. Wish you all good luck. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much, sir, for the inspiring words. We hope to have you again with us soon.
Thank you. Sure, sure.
Okay, sir, and okay, guys, we will conclude this session for today. It was a great
Thank
session.
you.
Thank you, everyone, for participating. And for everything else, you can always refer to our website. We have courses, articles, news updates, and we have many other events and opportunities lined up for you. So you can be a part of that. We also focus on arbitration through our website. You can also check out the CNICA website. I'll be providing the links after this video. So that's it, sir. I'll end the meeting.
Yeah, thank you so much. I'm taking leave. Thank you.
Thank you for your time, sir.
Thank you.
Okay, guys.